How's the student athlete atmosphere at Lexington now that you're actually a student athlete again?
It's been nice.
Yeah.
It's been nice. I'm in the sports leadership program. Obviously, it's a little different experience than I had at Stanford, or that most of my teammates are going through, because I'm going to night classes with a lot of people where I'm the youngest person in the class. Everyone's pretty old in there. They're kind of trying to figure out their next profession. So I don't know if I'm truly living the typical student athlete experience right now, but I've been enjoying it.
Do you feel old around some of these guys on your team?
There's moments, I'd say, yeah, as far as just like the different interests they have. A lot of them love Fortnite, love video games. I don't touch video games, so it's like just certain things like that will come up to where I'm like, man, I do feel older, or like that's not my interest. But as far as just like talking to each other and things like that, I wouldn't say that it's every interaction I have where I feel like I'm that much older.
You were able to kind of go into a little detail when we were able to talk with you before the Bahamas, but can you give me a little bit of a timeline of, all right, my season has ended at Stanford, I'm going to graduate, but I want to see if I can get in the NBA, but if I can't, or I don't like what I hear, I may go somewhere else. Just when all that happened, you don't have to give me exact days, but maybe months of, all right, this is when I knew I was going to go somewhere else, another college.
Yeah, so going back to when the season ended, we lost in the NIT. I took 2 weeks off basically, and I sat down and just really figured out, okay, what do I want to do this spring and what do I want to accomplish? I knew that I had a fifth-year eligibility if I wanted to take that. I knew that I had a chance to get invited by some teams to do some pre-draft workouts and look at the NBA. So I decided to go all in on the NBA and do pre-draft workouts. So did 5 workouts throughout the course of the spring while I was still trying to finish up my degree, had 5 classes. So it was a lot going on as far as I stayed on campus and did all my workouts while I was finishing my degree. After I worked out for the Warriors, which was my last workout, I kind of sat down with my family and decided, based on the feedback that I got, that I was going to take my name out the draft and I was going to come back to college for a 5th year. After that, I had a couple of weeks to kind of just figure out exactly what that 5th year was going to look like and what I wanted out of it. And once I really figured out exactly what I wanted out of it, then I kind of came to the process of thinking, okay, where should I take this 5th year? Do I stay at Stanford, or do I go to another school, or what puts me in the best situation? So I'd say around that time, which was later in the spring, which I'm trying to think, which is like June or right before the early weeks of June, is when I really started to sit down and think about that. But all the while, I was still trying to finish my degree, which was taking literally a lot of hours out of my day. So I put a lot of faith in my family, and they did a lot of the research for me as far as talking to schools and doing kind of their own research, trying to figure out what would be the best fit for me.
When you were trying to figure out what you wanted your 5th year to be, what do you want your 5th year to be? What did you want your 5th year to be when you came to that decision?
Yeah, the biggest thing is I wanted to get better as a player, which is an easy thing to say. I mean, every year I wanted to get better as a player, but I wanted to be pushed on a different level and be pushed in a different way and be made uncomfortable in ways that I hadn't been before. And I think that's kind of what steered me to a new situation. I wanted to compete for a national championship, and I wanted to put myself in the best position for the draft the following year. And those were kind of the biggest things that I was looking at. And when that came down to it and I started looking at places, there was no better spot than coming to Kentucky to try and do those things.
Before your official visit to Kentucky, did you think this is probably where I'm going to go, but may as well check it out and make sure for sure? Or were you completely open? You came here and said, no, this is where I'm going to be. I don't need to see anywhere else.
Well, I graduated on Sunday and I took my visit that next week. So my focus, and I was taking finals all the way up until then, as I can be honest, my focus was really on trying to finish school off the right way, and I really wasn't fielding calls or anything like that. So it really came down to my family as far as like, okay, these are a couple places that look good, like we like the coaches, and these are kind of places we think you could fit in. So then when I took my visit and I could really lock in and get to know the coaches and get to know the players, then it became evident to me on my visit that this would be a good spot for me.
Before the Bahamas, you told me that you met PJ actually in Minnesota and I think that was the first time you've ever met him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Final Four's in Minnesota. If you all end up going there and winning it all, is that where it all began, or did you all not even have an idea that you could be teammates at that point?
We didn't even have an idea. I knew I was real excited when I saw his name on the sheet for the workout, just because I had seen a couple of games of him throughout the season and knew that he was a great player. So I was excited that I was able to go up against him in that workout. But I guess you could say, as far as like a point of contact with me and anyone on the team, that was the first time that I been in contact with any Kentucky player, and I really liked him. I mean, he worked hard in the workout, was a great guy. So a lot of that for me, that kind of reflected the rest of the other players on the team when I came on my visit.
With all due respect to Stanford, you just moved to the land of college basketball.
Yeah.
Are you aware of what's ahead this season with just the fan base, how crazy they are?
I think it's tough to really understand until you get thrown into it. I think everyone's been trying to tell me, like, you have no clue what it's going to be like and things like that. And I accept that. I mean, it's already felt crazy to me. And people are like, you have no clue until you play in Rupp or until you have your first game. So I'm excited for it.
You'll really learn at Big Blue Madness, especially the camp out. But you had the Bahamas. So far, have you had any awkward fan interactions where you're just like, whoa, this is crazy?
I'd say it just catches me off guard, just doing like day-to-day things that I used to do in my previous years in college, as far as grocery shopping or going out to eat, where you wouldn't be bothered and you kind of fly under the radar, but people wanting to get hugs and pictures and autographs and things like that. It kind of just throws you off when you haven't been used to that.
The shorter guys, the guards, wear hoods. I don't think you're going to be able to hide. When you go
No,
to the
I don't
ball,
wear a
you're going to
hood.
be caught.
I take all the love. It's all welcome.
Thanks, man.